Hey, Big Brother fans, we've got an update about T'Kor and Joseph and another shocking plan that they are considering that would turn the house on its ear and have them betraying their very close allies is next week about to blow up with the most epic blindside ever. Let's dive into the piping hot tea spilling from the live feeds. So you'll see on Wednesday's heavily edited CBS episode that Cam wins the power veto, took himself off the block, and then T'Kor renommed Angela, which infuriated T'Kor, who was already in the doldrums because Angela had suggested to several house guests that they evict T'Kor this week. That was all the work of Makensy, who was double dealing and pitting T'Kor and Angela against each other. And then she tried to pit Rubina against T'Kor. Very successful in both efforts. I did a whole standalone video about her blowing up the house. You can see it on our main page. By the way, Makensy seems to have gotten away with it, but even so, if she doesn't win the AI arena, I do think she's going to be the one talking to Julie on Thursday. But that's not the good scoop. So in the fallout from the Angela versus T'Kor shenanigans that Makensy engineered, he had a total meltdown. And this was Monday after the veto meeting. He ranted about how he protected T'Kor from punishment in the veto and made sure she got that fat stack of cash. So T'Kor felt like T'Kor should have renommed Leah as he wanted. That was kind of the initial impression. And T'Kor last night in the house was doing a whole toddler having a tantrum thing to whoever would listen. Kind of perfect since he was in that Big Brother punishment onesie while moping and pouting and crying and complaining. And Rubina petted him while T'Kor was whining how he was ready to go home. At all costs, skip the jury house. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go home. He and Angela then had another low-key fight on Monday where T'Kor told her she broke his heart after all the ways that he protected her. And then Angela said she's not upset at him anymore because he basically thought, Rubina was his final instead of her. But he said he was still angry at her. And T'Kor told Angela, just leave me alone. And then he stormed off. This was like post-veto meeting PMS, just spilling out of every pore of T'Kor's. So it is T'Kor's HOH after all. So she does get to pick, but there is more to this. So Angela later told Joseph and Leah that T'Kor said all she does is get mad and call people out. I mean, I think Angela's a little burnt from that truth bomb exploding because he's not wrong. And by bedtime, though, T'Kor had cooled off and he came out in the backyard, gives Angela a hug. And this is where stage one of this twist comes. He told Angela he was thinking of throwing the AI arena to her because T'Kor was still in this, I'll just take my toys and go home mode. But Angela told him, you'd better not do that. And she also told Chemo that turning on T'Kor was the worst mistake she's made in this game. Not the crazy eyes rant, not that, but turning on T'Kor. And I tend to agree. But after T'Kor got some sleep, some kisses and cuddles from Rubina, he woke up a new man with a plan, and he and Joseph were whispering the beginnings of a plan for payback. And T'Kor and Joseph's targets are very surprising, and they would blow up the house more than any other blindside we've seen so far in BB26. I guarantee it. So you guys know T'Kor's got many different final two deals. One of them is with Joseph. So he and his brosif were sitting up having a chat by the fishes, and Cam was in for part of this conversation, but not all of it. So T'Kor had revealed that he'd been thinking about throwing the AI arena, but has now decided there is no way he's going to let Angela have a chance at winning it. So then Joseph floated something to T'Kor. Maybe he was testing the waters on how hard T'Kor's ready to go, assuming he stays in the house while he's still salty with T'Kor, despite them hugging it out on Monday. So Joseph talked about how close T'Kor, Chemo, and Rubina are. And of course, that is kind of a problem for her showman's partner, And Joseph told T'Kor that if he were the one to break that up, he said if I was going to break up that, he would nominate T'Kor and Chemo. Let me play that back for you. Joseph said if he was going to break up those three, he would nominate T'Kor and Chemo. Obviously not Rubina, because he's sitting there by her boyfriend. So Tucker kind of grunted in acknowledgement and then says, yeah, it'd be Chemo. Like their target for eviction would be Chemo. So yeah, T'Kor and Chemo, okay? The chat continued, Cam joined them, and Tucker talked more about why he's so salty. He said he's upset that T'Kor nominated him to start with, even though he volunteered. Lots, people volunteer for things. And then he brought up what he did for her in the veto comp. But Tucker did admit he kind of wanted to experience a punishment. But that doesn't change. He's still very butthurt at T'Kor. So Cam, Tucker, and Joseph all agreed that they do still trust her, but it sounds like they're fomenting a plan to nominate Chemo and T'Kor side by side. And that's what you got to do with any power pair. And let's face it, Chemo and T'Kor are a platonic showmance at the core, is the easiest way to describe them, I think. And I mean, I can't even feel bad about people in Chemo and T'Kor's alliance turning on them, because remember, T'Kor and Chemo flipped the vote to evict Cedric, an ally. They betrayed the collective when they did that, and when they nominated Tucker, they betrayed the Tanks and the 6th Avenue alliances. And T'Kor betrayed them again when she put up Angela as the replacement nominee. Angela is in both of those alliances with her. Leah is not an ally of theirs. She should have been the one sitting beside Cam and Makensy on the block, not Tucker. And she definitely should have been the renom, just in terms of stated alliances and loyalties. So maybe this move that the guys are talking about is a little karma for T'Kor and Chemo. The guys talked about being good with Makensy going home, because Joseph doesn't think Angela would nominate them, even if she found a way to win HOH. Tucker's not so sure about that anymore. But still, they all right now seem bent on evicting Makensy unless she wins the arena. And then we have, out of this conversation, a new bro alliance forming, as they were talking about flipping things around and targeting the current HOH T'Kor and her bestie Chemo next week. So Cam, Tucker, and Joseph seem to be locking in a 3-way alliance, and Tucker suggests they call it circle jerk. Pretty funny. Possibly accurate. And then Cam and Joseph agreed that with Tucker, they can't talk together much. They can't really be seen where people might figure it out, but they agreed they're all going to watch each other's back. I'm not sure right now having furniture watch your back is helpful, but maybe Cam's decided he's going to play Big Brother now. By the way, I feel tentatively bad about calling him furniture. Not very bad, but tentatively bad. And here's why. I saw some interesting chatter and theories. I can't remember if it was in a forum or on Twitter, because I'm all over the place. I think it was on Twitter, though. The people that were commenting back and forth were saying they think the reason we don't see Cam very much, and to some extent Chelsea very much either, is that they think production is choosing not to focus the cameras on them. And I mean, to be fair, casuals only see what CBS edits for the primetime episodes. Non-casuals, aka live feed watchers, they know how heavily skewed that is from the reality of what we see on the feeds. Some people get the hero edit, some the villain edit, some the jock edit, some the skank edit. You guys know how it goes if you've been watching for a while. But if you watch the live feeds, you get more information. You only see interactions and happenings on certain cameras, and where in seasons past on the live feeds, there would be 4 cameras going, 4 different conversations. Because if I would put it on the quad cam, it was just like, like an ADD nightmare. I couldn't keep track of any of it. It was chaos. Now you can almost watch on the quad cam and just track everything, because what they're doing is they have a close-up and then a wide shot of the same scene. And that's what I see, I swear, every time I'm on the feeds. And that eats up the 4 screen feeds when it's really only actually 2 cameras, which sus, highly sus. And this season, Allison Grodner seems to be up to some real sneakiness in my opinion, because the feeds are cutting out worse than a satellite dish in a trailer park during tornado season. I mean, it is frustrating. So while Cam has earned a rep as a do-nothing floater/furniture, and Chelsea is not really talking game, that might be a false narrative. They could be talking next level, grandmaster level chess strategy, and they're just not showing it to us. And we're not going to know. But cameras are on them. And that they are doing something. Cam's not in a coma until a comp comes up. For now, though, the larger point is I am very intrigued by this Joseph and T'Kor talk about turning on T'Kor and chemo. I think it would be great. Jaws would drop. There would be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And of course, Leah would be over in the corner doing her Kardashian level 5-hour makeup routine, laughing to herself as she remains off the blocks because of her collective of sumps. So presuming T'Kor survives the week, and I think he might, he's going to go full beast mode in the arena from what I'm seeing. And that would leave Makensy versus Angela on the block Thursday, likely with Makensy sent packing. At that point, I don't think it would really matter which one was ousted, so long as T'Kor survives the week, because then if Joseph, T'Kor, or Cam won HOH, they could make this house-wrecking blindside a reality, and I would be down for that. We'll see how it goes. Be sure and come back soon for more live feeds, insights, and news.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.